Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you a $600 gaming PC build. This build will be able to run most new and upcoming games at high to ultra settings at 1080p with a minimum of 30 FPS. You'll most likely be getting upwards of 60 FPS, however. This excludes some new open world titles such as Tom Clancy's The Division, because those games are pretty demanding on the CPU unfortunately, which is lacking in a budget build like this. There are some open world games with extremely good optimization that will run like butter on this build, such as The Witcher 3. You'll be able to run Battlefield 1 at high settings and get a solid 40 to 50 FPS on a bad day. Don't plan on doing anything other than extremely mild editing on here, and don't plan on doing much live streaming at all. This build has an exceptionally well-made CPU, but it's not built for tasks like that. Let's start this off by discussing the heart of the build, the graphics card. We'll be using the PowerColor Red Devil RX 470 4GB model for this build. The RX 470 is one step down from the RX 480, but don't think for a second that it can't pack a punch. It has 4GB of video RAM, which is plenty for pretty much every game on the market right now. As a matter of fact, not many games even recommend more than 4GB of VRAM right now. For the ports on the back, you'll have access to one DL/DVI-D port, 3 display ports, and 1 HDMI port. This should be perfect for most modern monitors, except for one thing. A lot of TVs and monitors still have HDMI exclusively, so if you plan on setting up more than one of those things, you might run into a small problem because of the lack of HDMI ports on the graphics card. This can be easily fixed by buying a splitter or an HDMI to DisplayPort converter for a couple of dollars on Amazon. Overall, this graphics card is an amazing deal, and it only lands at $185. Next we'll be covering the CPU. For this build we'll have to go for a slightly mid or lower end processor to fit the budget, but I think the CPU will do alright with most modern games. We'll be using the i3-6100K from Intel. This CPU is only a dual core, but don't let that fool you. It can still pull its weight despite the small amount of cores. It's running at 3.7 GHz, which is pretty good for a CPU in this price range. Don't expect to do much editing, live streaming, or rendering on this computer at all, because the CPU might be at a bit of a disadvantage in those areas. It comes with integrated graphics also, but you probably won't be using those considering that this build comes along with a full-size graphics card, which we discussed a moment ago. It's a good temporary backup if your main card fails for any reason, however. All of this comes for the price of $120 on Newegg.com. The motherboard that will be linking all these parts together is the MSI B150 M3 edition. First, I want to point out that if you buy this board off of Newegg.com right now, you'll be given a free copy of the game Total War Warhammer along with it. This game didn't get the best reviews when it launched, but it's currently getting a mostly positive review on Steam right now, and it costs $60 on there. If you don't want the game, you can go ahead and sell it for about $30 or so. Anyway, there's not much to say about the motherboard itself. It's in the standard ATX form factor and comes in a sleek red and black look to match your graphics card. There are 4 RAM slots and they're dual channel, meaning that you'll have to use 2 or 4 sticks of RAM. This motherboard comes for $110 on Newegg.com right now, not counting the money you'll save if you decide to sell the game that comes along with it. We'll be using 8GB of DDR4 RAM for this build, which should be plenty to run most modern games. The RAM is running at 2133 MHz with 288 pins to fit our motherboard perfectly. Certain games are starting to recommend 16GB of RAM, but for now you'll be safe with only 8. If you want, you can choose to buy another kit of this RAM to boost your total up to 16GB, but don't buy any more than that because this motherboard won't be able to fit the extra sticks. Like the motherboard and the graphics card, this RAM is colored red and black, meaning that it will match perfectly with the rest of your PC. This RAM will set you back about $54 right now on Newegg.com. You will be storing your operating system, your programs, and your files on the Western Digital Blue 1TB hard drive. 1TB of storage will most likely be enough to hold all of your files and things that you use on a daily basis. However, if you like to have all of your games installed at once or have a ton of movies and images, you might want to pick up 2 of these, or get a 2TB drive. With the increasing size in games now, it can be quite easy to fill up a 1TB hard drive in a hurry. There's not much to say here, since this is quite a boring, yet important part of the PC. This will set you back about $50. We'll be powering this build with the Corsair CS-M 450-watt semi-modular power supply. 450 watts should be absolutely perfect for these parts, and might even leave a bit of room for some small upgrading. The power supply is semi-modular, which in this case means that every power cord can be detached except for the main motherboard power. You most likely won't have any reason to remove that cord anyway, unless for some reason you want a PC that can't turn on. The rest of the cords can come off easily, so if you choose to not connect some if you don't need them, that's a possibility. The only color that this piece comes in is black, which will fit perfectly with the red and black color theme that we've been keeping so far. This piece will cost you about $60. Last but not least, we'll be storing these parts in the Corsair Carbide 100R windowed case. The best thing about this case is the large window on the side, which will let you show off your black and red themed parts. There are two USB 3.0 ports on the front of the case right next to the audio and microphone jacks. Other than that, there's really not much to say about this case. It's attractive, it's practical, it's low profile, and it will cost you only $50 on Newegg.com right now. This entire build will cost you $630 US right now. Every single part is coming from Newegg.com as well, and they will all be linked down below. If you have any thoughts or comments, please leave them down below. I release build guides and tech-related videos on my channel regularly now, and I'm currently working on different kinds of content. If you want to stay updated on that, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.